and welcome to another episode of the Tear Your Fucking Face Off podcast with me, your host, Ben Sebastian. I am just so delighted to have Where the Children Play on the Face Ripper Records label, and I'm even happier to be back in sort of an interviewer's chair as I caught up with the founder, Alex. So, Alex, good to see you finally.
Yeah, man, nice to meet you as well.
Yeah, we've spoken so much, online and stuff, so it's nice to put a face to the name.
Oh, yeah.
So welcome to the Tear Your Fucking Face Off podcast. I'm sure you've seen a few episodes. It's been a while.
Watch every one of them, yep.
Oh, nice one. Thank you very much. It's been a while since I've done a kind of a talking kind of interview, so bear with me. And I've just got off a TikTok live as well. That stuff is going so well. I can't wait for Where the Children Play to be in the sort of artist versus artist format I've just got going, because the last one I just did was insane.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's your music is absolutely sick. So where does it all come from? So where did it start?
So it started last year, actually. So it came from an idea, just, I've always enjoyed metal music, extreme music. I've always wanted to be in a band, but I did not like doing creative differences and arguing. And
Same.
I wanted to be the mind and the voice behind my vision of my music. So it started with, I just hired a guy off Fiverr and we started making music together. Well, fast forward to now, I've got 2 permanent members of the group with myself, and it's no longer a freelance project, it's a full-scale project. And
nice, yeah.
I'm looking back when we were last year with the Church of Satan album versus now working as I guess you could say, semi-professional band, because I have a song with 27,000 listens. I've got my first 2 with 1,000 again. Wow. I've got 1,300 listeners on Spotify. I'm signed to you. I've got so many things. I never thought, for one, that my music would have any mark in the metal community, because there's so many greats out there. But then fast forward, we kind of found our place in the metal community at that verge of black metal, death metal with that atmospheric twist.
Yeah, absolutely. Your music is so atmospheric. It's interesting that you said, you didn't think that there'd be a place for you. This is something that kind of resonates with me. You've heard some of my stuff, and
yes,
it's only in the last, well, I'd say the year, but I'd probably say in the last kind of 4 or 5 months, I knuckled down. I had this random kind of test I put to myself to release 10 singles by the end of the year, and that I decided on that at the end of August. Now I've done 5. Now creating a record label is going to get in the way of that, but I've got some place there, and I've now started to get a few thousand listeners on Spotify, and in the previous 3 years I've had a handful. But that took a lot of drive. I was living and the project. So tell me how you kind of upped your level, to up the game and the drive.
So for people who do not think that one-man bands don't have to work, I don't know where they get that from, because it comes from the beginning of it. Comes from, okay, let me build a concept. What do I want that concept to be? What do I want it to sound like? What do I want to portray? And then you have to do the thing of taking that concept and bringing it to life. And that's the fun and the hard part. I'd say this album, Northward, is a reflection upon myself. We all kind of go through those times of we feel lonely, we feel like there's nothing there. But you can use that as a negative aspect, or you can use it as to get better.
Yeah.
And when I decided to write, for one, it helped me mature as an artist, because when you challenge yourself to really be your full potential, you'll see when you're really getting there, because you're like, man, I feel mentally challenged here. I feel challenged in the way that I want to write better, that I want to make make the song make sense. 2, be able to portray the right message and feel and atmosphere to the listener. And then it really goes into well, I guess you could say the actual music theory behind it. Well, this style of vocal doesn't make sense with this type of music, or this note here doesn't work well here. And when I put together the first single, Amber Wood, and I'm glad you loved it, because that was our first with our new producer.
Yeah, love it. Absolutely love it.
So I don't know if you listen to any of our older stuff.
Okay, so I listened to Poems of the Solemn Black in its entirety, and I haven't had, admittedly, the time to go backwards. But between those two, between that album and what I've heard from the forthcoming Northward, there's a huge uplift. But you've retained the dynamics, you've retained the atmosphere, and you've retained where the children play is, and its sound and its uniqueness and everything that I kind of love from the first listen. So it's not a challenge for me to go back. When you listen to some bands and you discover them in their modern era, and then you go back and listen to their old stuff, and it's hard work. It isn't. Whilst you may critique your own production, and I certainly have my own production journey, and that's blatantly obvious through even the last few months, and every band has that struggle. But with your band, I don't. It doesn't influence how I'm listening to the music.
Well, when we wrote Poems, those were poems that I wrote as a teenager.
That's right.
And I turned them around. I had to go and spice them up to make them not sound so, I guess you could say, teenager. Because, I was going through a dark time in my life there, dealing with figuring out who I was. And I had a lot of family things, on one side of my family, I dealt with the adults in my family addicted to alcohol. And it was something that I had to grow up with, seeing and, watching your family tear themselves apart and you can't do anything is really bothersome.
Yeah, it's rough. It leaves a legacy, and it's one you can't shake. You have to kind of make it a part of you in a positive way, and that takes some doing, because you're going to go through some dark roots yourself. Because I lost my dad. What is it, November? So I lost him in June this year by his own hand. I'm really sorry. My condolences, brother.
Well, and to be honest, I mean, I took it hard. I took it rough because, that's my father. But, in a way, he kind of set his own self up for failure, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You let those demons take control of you and you don't fight back, ask for help. And that's why when it happened, I posted on Instagram and I said, look, here's the suicide hotline, man. If you feel like no one is here to help you, dude, call me. I don't care. I'd rather you talk to me at 3 a.m. than you go and do something crazy.
Yeah.
And, I've dealt with that with him, his father. My grandfather did the exact same thing.
Shit.
And so, and I'm like, your life is too freaking precious, because we're all here for a reason. And I know you probably have seen the EP Necronomicon up on my page. That EP was about my.
That was going to be my next question. I will respect you enough to give that a listen immediately after this interview, because I'd be very interested to see how that dynamic played out. My brother, I'm a recovered cocaine addict, and that all of that personality and that kind of leaning has come from like a childhood trauma. And I learned in May I learned last summer sometime that my brother had, it's unknown whether he overdosed, whether he was beaten to death by people that were controlling his plat for drugs, or whether it was a mixture of all of this, but he didn't survive the same demons that kind of I did. And I haven't yet kind of put it to music, and it's been a struggle for me. So in some part, like, I totally feel exactly how you are, but as you say, the writing is on the wall, and when we survive, I think sometimes there's a feeling of like, why did we survive? What could we have done? Right.
Yeah. And you're put through, and that gets into the whole argument of, the whole theory of like not in theory, but the whole perplexity of choice. Everyone has choices, and we're given choices. We make the right, we make the wrong, but we're also given an outlet to make the right choice. It's never too late until it's too late. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when someone tells me, "Oh, well, they're recovering," I'm like, dude, if you recovered, don't call yourself an addict or whatever you were. You're a new person now. So don't let that hang over your head like an albatross, dude. If you overcame it, you're you again.
Yeah.
You're not a recovering person anymore. You are your own person. Because we all go through those dark times where it's like, man, this thing has a hold on me. And there's usually something deeper down that's the reason why.
Of course there is.
Yeah. And I found that because, see, for me, I always struggled with anger and struggled with anxiety, real bad anxiety. I was in the military. I have PTSD. I struggled with all those things. Music turned out to be my outlet.
Yeah.
And I can scream angrily into a microphone for 5 minutes.
So you have one. You do the vocals, yeah?
Yeah.
Fucking, you absolutely kill it. Sorry to break it up, but that's absolutely I love your vocal style, man. So I wrote instrumental metal for ages because I was just a born keyboardist, and then I picked up guitar to support the keys, and then that was where I hit my limit. And to be less of a niche within a niche, it was suggested that I give the vocals a go. I used to do the occasional vocal thing, but I can only do the vocals in that kind of manic episode of I've got this idea and everything kind of works perfectly first time round. Yeah. I could never actually do consistent vocals. So I'm new to it. I'm literally about 4 or 5 months new to vocals, and it's developing well. But
good.
But your stuff is absolutely sick. I listen to your tones and I'm but somehow I kind of internalized them. And there's a track that I'm working on now. I posted it quickly on Instagram. It's I always have a little bit of a thank you towards you, because I sort of listen to different things and I'm sort of singing along to your music like I do. And it's just cool.
Awesome. That's awesome. My vocal styling started when I'm 27, so it started when I was 13. The first thing I ever listened to was Cannibal Corpse. And when I started vocals, I sounded god-awful terrible. I couldn't even get a normal low vocal fry right, but it's just practice. Yeah. And when you get it right and you learn the vocal control, I just learned how to properly do low false chord, and it's just by feeling. And the more you control those muscles, you can really make it effortless. And when I figured out that I could do really good highs, I did not know I had a good shriek until someone was like, dude, that sounds like Dickie Allen if violated.
I've just discovered my shriek. And it's just it's elevating. It just gets better every time. What the hell? Yeah, because you can layer your vocals. One thing I will tell you that I've learned as a vocalist, please,
is do not try and go past the limits of your voice.
No.
Because everyone hears Travis Ryan from Cattle Decap. They're all like, oh, I want to be like him. I want to be like him. Everyone's voice is different. Oh, sure. Everyone's voice is unique. So, excuse me. I need to quit these.
I just quit those, and I then had to pick up one of these because I just can't do a high energy TikTok without it. My ADHD and possibly my BPD and all that. You know how it is. I saw you.
I always say mama didn't raise no quitter. So
yeah.
But when I learned how to relax in my voice, relax in my register, that's when all the new stuff started coming out. It's like, oh, that's how that's supposed to sound. Because we're trying to strain to get to that point. We're using our head voice. We're not using our diaphragm. Because you can hear the difference between sound and then when you relax into it and you totally. because you relax into it and you trust your training, trust your body.
It's a funny thing you say that, because I live in a kind of shared house, so I can't be noisier. Everything is done through earphones, and usually when I record vocals, everyone's out at work. But I get flashes of inspiration. It'll be 2 a.m, and it's then when I'm actually trying to be really quiet and I'm closer up to the microphone and I'm more relaxed because I'm more surrounding conscious. But actually, it sounds better the quieter I am.
Yes, because you're not you're not straining it and closing your vocal cords up here. You're not pushing from your head voice. You're pushing from your diaphragm and from your lungs, and that's when it sounds beautiful. It sounds angry. It sounds disgusting. And what's really good is when you can mix that with enunciating your words, and they can understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I was always real good with my highs. You could understand me. But my lows were very, very gritty and trashy. So that's what I've had to work on. I've learned to drop my jaw. I kind of have to stick my lower lip out. It kind of looks retarded, but it works for me because I'm able to get that good. Because this sounds retarded. It sounds retarded when you're talking. But when you straight out, it sounds so much better.
Yeah.
And then you add in the vocals. You add some layering, some EQ, some squelch, and it sounds amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it took me a while to find the right chain and
man, everyone's got their magic number on the freaking what is it, on the soundboard. Everyone's got their magic number.
Yeah. And now I found mine, and it's like it just makes it so much fun. So where the children play, like where did the name come from and why?
So I love saying the story. So my favorite movie from my childhood was Children of the Corn.
Okay, I remember. Yeah.
And I've always kind of been into the whole, like, the kids kill the adults, they're trying to sacrifice people to the Dark Lord and shit, just some horror shit. And then also, there's a grindcore band called Circle of Dead Children. So I kind of like, so I kind of put two and two together, and I was like,
popular name in the community, yeah.
So I kind of put the two together of like a group of kids sacrificing people in like a field. I was like, where the children play. At first, I was called like Blood Moon's Child or Black Moon's Child, and I was like, it doesn't feel good. It didn't roll off to me. And then I got to ask the question. Someone's like, well, would someone misinterpret your band name for the music you play? I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, I could literally call myself the Lemonheads and make whatever music I wanted to.
Yeah.
Like the band name is just a personification of the artist.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever the fuck goes on up here. So, when I came out with that, our first album was like raw black metal. The Church of Satan was just raw black metal. And it was just but I wanted to go ahead and get it out there just to show people who we were. I wasn't real big into production. I wasn't real big into making it sound crisp and perfect and polished and everything. It was just to get our name out.
Get the job done. This is what I've been doing with my kind of flow of singles. I've done some originals. I've done some like cover versions. I've just done whatever sort of come along, and it's like I know some of the mixing ain't into par. I know some things are better than others on some tracks, whatever. But it's just get the job done, get the numbers coming in, get the attention, show what you can do, and then critique it. And then once I've got a collection, then I can maybe build up an album out of those, and then revisit the dodgy points with my future experience.
Yeah, and you grow from each act you do. Because you'll go back and listen to it, and you're like, well, I could have done this here, I could have done that there. But that's how you grow as an artist. Even getting the negative feedback, because I've had guys react to my songs, and I've had guys who said, man, this was complete dog water. It was trash. It was this. And I could have taken it as an attack, but I took it as, okay, let me go back and listen. And 9 times out of 10, you're right.
Yeah.
I've not really had any like blatant rude people come up to me, because I'm like, if you don't like my music, you don't listen to it. I mean, I'll be all right.
Move on.
I don't get commission. Yeah, man, my 0.003 cents will be used somewhere else. Freaking Spotify, dude, with the freaking rooms.
I'm trying to push as much, 0.003 cents as possible. So, with the 24-hour sort of like live stream and stuff, and just trying to keep it going out there.
I watched your TikTok live on YouTube, and I was like, and I found where you had put our band on there, and I was like, yo, the respect. Where I'm actually gonna record after we're done this podcast. I'm recording our next song. It's called, I don't know if I should say it or just let it go on the album. I'll just let it go on the album.
Okay, you're recording. That's good news. Always good news.
Yeah. We've done 3 songs. We have 7 more left to do. So, the recording process. Look, I wanted to push for November, but I'm going to be real with you. It's probably going to be January or February when it comes out.
Hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, because look, life happens, and I try. And look, I'm balancing a job. I teach. I'm a teacher.
Okay,
and
awesome.
Yeah, and then I have a wife. I have kids. So it's I still find time to do this because if you really enjoy something, you'll find time to make time to do it.
Is your wife into black metal and stuff?
So I got her into folk metal. And I think that's like her limit. Because we ride in the car and we listen to my music, and she can handle like the post-hardcore and the screamo and the hard rock, but I tried it, the Annihilator, didn't really work. So I was like, you know what? I'll be happy with this, what I can get. She likes folk metal a lot. She likes Amon Amarth style stuff.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's good. I mean, I'm a single chap, and when you hit your 40s, you become a little bit more invisible. And every woman my age that I seem to meet seems to be of the sensible type. And then as soon as they kind of start seeing this stuff online and they listen to my music, I think it turns into a deal breaker. So for you to have a woman that likes something that's metal, perhaps not as extreme as where you go, but to kind of meet you halfway, then that's a marriage made in heaven. Yeah,
right. Well, she's supportive, and that's the key. She's supportive, And when I first started this music, we were joking like, "Oh, I'll never get big. I'll just be that guy." Fast forward now, the boy's got like 1,300 listeners on Spotify, and I'm like, "Oh, I actually did something." And it's weird because everyone looks at the music, but they don't look at the artist behind the project. Like we all have lives too.
Yeah.
And we all sing about death and murder and all this shit, and then in reality, we go to Walmart and buy our milk like everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Yes, people tend to sort of view us as sort of extreme and what have you, and I think this is one of the reasons why I've sort of come back to doing interviews, to kind of get sort of behind the all the blase and the grandiosity, because there's real people behind this. And this is something that I'm finding sort of crippling to hear about. Like, I've been doing a podcast for a couple of years. I did a prison sentence which was attached to cocaine and money disappearing. I was an accountant, so do the math or
gotcha.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so I started a podcast, and there were kind of, because I wanted to I was trying to get my music on radio and places and stuff online, and I couldn't do that. So I thought, I'll create my own show. And and it's kind of the same theory with the label and everything I've done, I suppose. But a lot of those artists that were in the early days of my podcast and that I kind of helped support, they then went to get signed by different labels and all this kind of stuff, but they just got treated as part of the machine. Even the low level kind of supportive labels were basically charging them for money and then doing a bit of marketing, and then they're gone.
Yep. I have a story about that too. I was trying to get signed by a label about 6 months ago. I'm not going to say their name because we already had a falling out, and
that's fine.
There was they were trying to charge me, I'm going to say in the realm, so that way they can't come back and say that I said an exact amount. They were trying to charge me in the thousands. And when I emailed them back, and I was like, look, that's not why I looked for a label. I looked for a label to push for my distribution. And then the response was, I can't believe that you would do all this. And I'm like, okay, if we're going to be unprofessional, it's just done. Because that's not why I got into music. I got into music because I love it and it's fun. And I've always said, even if I stayed autonomous for the rest of my musical career, if I knew I put out what I'm proud of and what I love and y'all love it, then I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
Because without a fan base, and I've said this in every interview I've ever done, without a fan base, I don't have a band. Without guys who love me, I have nothing. So y'all including you, build who I am. You know, the fact that I can watch you guys review me on YouTube and love it and like get into it, it makes me feel good. Like it gives me that butterflies in the stomach that I made you feel good. I made your day with that song. You know, if I can leave any type of reaction with the listener and make you want more.
Yeah. Well, you definitely got that done. I've totally enjoyed doing the reactions and review stuff, and I'm just like really happy to have you and your crew, the Caliber, on a label that's kind of starting out, and and I really am like grateful to the faith that you've placed in me. I don't know what I'm going to be able to achieve out of Face Ripper Records, but it won't be for the lack of trying.
Well, I'll tell you this. When I found out that you were a wholesome, truthful, down-to-earth guy, and you offered it to me, I was like, you know what? This guy's trying to help me out. Let me help him out by building his label. And, and it's almost like a symbiotic relationship. We both get something out of it. When I push out my first album, I would like for you to, like react to it, just because, well, for one, I know you'll freaking love it. Because I know I've been enjoying the instrumental backing tracks and writing, and man, the whole production part is the fun part. The writing is the fun part. It's the recording. The recording is the hard part. The actual music is the hard part. And everyone thinks it's the go ahead.
No, so on the recording part. So how do you sort of approach a composition? Are you an instrumentalist as well as a vocalist?
Dude, I have not one instrumental bone in my body. I am all here.
Well, that's all well and good, but it doesn't half make it hard work, doesn't it? Because you can hear stuff and then you've got to translate it. Well, see, I've always had an ear for music theory, so I understand music theory very well. Cool.
But as far as like playing an instrument, no. But I can easily like listen and say, okay, this is in the key of here. I can do a semitone down here, or I can play a third or a fourth, and I can get to that. Because if anyone's wondering how you get those haunting tones, you get those minor thirds and those minor fourths, real big, yeah. And if you like, a cool thing about being atonal with screaming is that you can kind of go to the lower registers, lower growls, higher registers, the high shrieks, and you can kind of make it where you want it to be. And it's a vocal style you can really play with, because you'll find yourself making sounds you did not know you could make.
Yeah, indeed. Last night I had a flash of inspiration, and normally my method is to like open a blank DAW, sit on the keyboard, come up with something, then put some drums to it, then build everything around it, and writing lyrics and vocals and stuff come last. So last night I actually did a bit of a drum patterning first, and then I just no music. I just listened to that, and then I come up with like lyrics. I suppose it's a way that like perhaps sort of rap or grime artists would go about it. They've got a beat, and then they develop a lyrical flow. I come up with the some lyrics, and then I found that I'd actually come up with some tonality, and then I had to find which key it was on the guitar, and it was like, oh, okay, and that's the first time I've ever done it that way round, and it was like, this is awesome. It's like a new path to creativity.
Yeah, see, I get the finished track, and then I sit there and I listen to it, because the song puts out a different feel based on the key that it's in, and you can kind of, I'll look at my track listing and I'll say, okay, which track does this feel for me? Because I can say, hey, it's intended for this track, and then I get the instrument that it's from, and it has a whole different feel than what I expected. So I just kind of go off that, and then comes the writing process. Writing takes about 3 days per song.
Yeah.
3 days per song, because I'm always backspacing, writing. So, oh man, that doesn't work. I can't scream that. It sounds terrible. The lyrics don't make sense. And then it goes into the recording, which is, if you ever watch me record, you'll see me scream at a microphone that I mess up so much. I have to go back and redo things multiple times, because you'll hear me screaming and then go, oh shit, I'm gonna go back and
I know exactly how it is. My last single, What God Wants, took me so long because I was fighting chest infections, work time, this and that, thinking it was good.
That was a good album too. That was a good song too. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's have you heard the original?
No.
you listen to it, it's very different. It's quite atmospheric and chilled in some places, but yeah, it's a good listen, and you'll hear what I had to do to condense it and make it what I made it. It's no mean feat. It was 40 days of solid slog, and normally I can do a track, at least musically and what have you, within a day in divisive hours. But this one took like 40 days, and it was a nightmare. But as you say, back to the original part of the conversation, it was pushing yourself as an artist, and that's good. So, is there a particular theme to Northward?
Yes, it's about winter solitude, and it's kind of a story. We say the word Northward. I kind of wanted to make it a broad thing. We look at a compass that points north, or you look at my life isn't going upward. Mm-hmm. Or is it just talking about the sheer cold? Or is it, it kind of has a bunch of meanings. What it really ended up being was you can take it how you perceive it.
Yeah.
And then the story goes, there's a traveler, and he's going through all these different things, and he finally realizes at the end, the only way to get through it is to get through it. So it's kind of like a concept album, but it's kind of depressing at the same time. But it's, my most mature act to date. We've already started preparations for our next album. Mm-hmm. I've already drawn up the blueprint of that. I'm not going to say too much.
No. Because I need you back on another podcast to talk about it,
Oh, yeah. And it's going to, you'll be definitely the first to react to it.
Oh, fuck yeah.
When we're done with this album, I'm gonna let it circulate for about 3 to 6 months, and then I'm gonna push out a new single for the next album. And I'm gonna let you react to it, and I'm gonna, one of my goals was to do physical copies of CDs and stuff, but it's so expensive.
Okay, no, it's not. Okay, so that is something I'm going to be announcing soon. I'm just playing with stuff. I have a sort of a mechanism for that, to do like low-level orders, even for people who just want 1 or 2 for their own collection, but it's going to be sort of cost viable. And as I'm going to be doing compilations, you can sort of like merge orders and take advantage of stuff. So I'm really looking at getting that down, and
that'd be amazing.
I can't say what I'm doing quite yet because I ain't quite 100% confident in it, but that is one of the things that I want to be doing, because as well as all the online stuff, I want to be dragging my compilations around to designated actual old school like record stores and stuff around London and all that kind of stuff. I want to do a mixture of old school and new school marketing with this, and having products in your hand is just fantastic. And to get them done cheaper is definitely an aim, and it's something that I'm getting slightly successful at, and I just need a few more days. But I've got so much I'm doing. I'm just non-stop at the moment.
And see, maybe with not this Northward album, maybe with the next one, we can work at releasing it under your name, releasing it under Bass Ripper Records. I know it takes time to do all that. So the Northward album, I'll probably release as my own autonomous, and that's fine.
When I say you're sort of signed to you, and I kind of prefer the word you're on the roster, because there's no contracts, there's no you're free to come and go and treat your music as your music, which I don't see why, because there's a record label that's pushing you and promises you gigs and fame and stardom, why they need to adopt all the rights to your music, as opposed to in some part to secure their investment. But if they're not supplying the investment and just limiting it to a few social media posts and a bunch of money from you, the artist, well, what the hell are they securing? What is the point of it? You get me? Yep. So when I say sort of signed, I prefer sort of check out our artist roster, and if you're happy to put in ink Bass Ripper Records on one of your packages and one of your future releases and in all your marketing, I take that as a compliment. And I think that it's time the record labels worked the other way round, which is why I'm trying to do what I'm doing on a not-for-profit basis.
I would be honored to put.
I would totally appreciate that.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's fine. You carry on.
So what we'll do is I'll go ahead and push Northward as I was going to, just autonomous, and then we'll make it a big thing with this fifth album. we'll make it a whole big thing so we can promote it on your page. I can promote you on my page, and we can make it a whole thing to grow each of ours projects.
I totally respect that. That's absolutely awesome. More than I could have hoped for. And I think
we'll talk about it more. We'll talk about it more and get all the details hashed out.
So to the fans and people kind of sort of watching, so yeah, the new album, you say, probably going to be January in its totality.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, okay, definitely something to look forward to. Look, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'd love to talk to you for absolutely ages, but we've got a whole future ahead of us on that. You go and enjoy your recording session.
Yes, sir. You enjoy whatever you're about to go do. I'm about to go record, and I'm about to go eat, and then I'm probably going to go and, I don't know, do something else.
But, okay, cool. It's been a pleasure. Take care, man. Have a good session.
Yeah, brother. And thank you.
No worries.
Cheers.
Take it easy, man.
Yeah, me too, bud.
Bye.